Hello everyone, today I'm here to review for you Sidequest, the Isle of Cats. This is a puzzle game akin to escape room style games where you're working through puzzles, all with that Isle of Cats theming on it. So you are trying to rescue the cats from the island, you're on a boat, that sort of thing going on. Let's jump into roughly how you play. I'm not going to be giving too much away though, because it is all puzzles. So you'll see pictures throughout that are either of the starting components or of like the tutorial little puzzle. And just so you know, the game was sent to me by Asmodee for the review. So Sidequest, the Isle of Cats is all about solving puzzles and continuing sort of almost through a story-ish sort of thing that links the different puzzles together. You're going to be unfolding a number of these things to do the puzzles. This is in fact how you check your answers, by placing pieces along here that starts of the puzzle sort of letter and gives you a number that hopefully you get to the correct one and you read the answer off and then you can progress. You're also going to be given at the start this, which I'm not going to show you much of. Whoa, there are all the hints that you can use if you want to going through. So as to not spoil anything, I'll just be using the tutorial that's on this checker. It's introduced at the very start as like the tutorial example of how the game works. It's going to give you 4 of these cardboard tokens that you're going to be placing onto this sort of checker. So you're going to start where it says A, placing tiles and working down, and it's going to give you a number. Now the future puzzles, they're all going to be on cards or on these things like this that are going to be hinting towards which of the cardboard things you're going to be placing down and in what order. So you're going to have to do a number of different maybe spatial puzzles or following things and answering questions in your own time. There is no time limit, and you're also working cooperatively around the table to solve these puzzles. Once you've got an answer, you'll check it on this, and if all the sort of cat faces on the left match and all of the cat faces on the right of your pieces match, then you've got the correct answer. You'll know that, it'll give you a number and you can proceed. Maybe it just gives you the next part of the puzzle. As I alluded to, some of these are going to be spatial puzzles of you putting components on top of each other, maybe flipping them round. You can have a think of what comes in the box of Isle of Cats to give you some sort of idea that there's polyominoes going on in this. It's on the back of the box, that's not really a spoiler, and you can be using those to answer some of these puzzles and gain bits of information that's going to help you solve things as you go through. The puzzles have a very particular order, so the more fish you get normally means, we now have enough fish, we can do challenge number 5, that sort of thing, and you find the appropriate card and go through that puzzle, hopefully unlocking you more fish and more progression as you go through. And then that is how the game works. You're just going through the different puzzles. It will give you a little bit more story on the next card and in the next puzzle that you're trying to crack, just like pretty much any sort of escape room style game. It's quite hard to talk about how the game works when a lot of it is solving puzzles, and I just don't want to spoil that sort of aspect of the game for you. I don't want to give you a sneak peek of the puzzles, because that might deteriorate your experience if you do play through this. Now, a couple of things we found straight off the bat. It doesn't say anything on sort of start here and open up, do this tutorial task. It doesn't say anywhere about the recommendation that I would highly give to any player out there. Have some paper, a pen or a pencil nearby and handy, because there's certainly some of the tasks that you've got to do that we found having ability to sketch the puzzle out and play around with it in certain ways on a bit of paper really helped out, so we weren't actually drawing on the physical components, which means the game is completely sort of unused and can be passed on and played again. Another thing we found, and let's just put this into context, that we are parents. It was me and my wife that played through this. We hadn't necessarily had the best night's sleep the night before, and it was towards the end of the day that we'd started this. So have that in your mind, that we might be a little bit tired, a little bit slower at some of these puzzles. But this is supposedly a 1 out of 4 difficulty rating. Some of the puzzles absolutely stumped us for a good sort of 5-10 minutes of staring at maybe a spatial puzzle, thinking, how can we get this to work? How can we get all this to fit? That sort of logic. Maybe there was some that we sort of flicked over the card, saw the puzzle, and within a few seconds or 30 seconds had done that puzzle and we're moving on to the next. But there was certainly some in this box, and it does say 60 to 90 minutes. That was about right for us, that time window. There were some puzzles that we really were stuck on and thinking and really struggling with, that took us time and paper and pencil to actually go and work out. As I said there, it was me and my wife. We played this through as 2 players, and I think that's a really good player count. I don't think too many more players would have helped, because a lot of the time there is only maybe 1 or 2 components that you are looking at the same time, trying to communicate back and forward. We certainly sometimes it was helpful sort of going, okay, I think it might be this, can you check on that? Does that work? That sort of thing. And I think if you had a third, maybe 4 people, I think you're definitely going to start to have at certain times someone, at least one person, sat on the side going, I don't have anything to do while this puzzle's being worked out. Therefore, I think the 2 players that we played this through at is probably the ideal. You could definitely play it through on your own and get through the puzzles, but we liked being able to talk through some of the puzzles back and forwards, try and work out what they were, but we also didn't feel too much at any time that we were sidelined with nothing to do. The Isle of Cats theming is definitely going to be a draw for some, and I think it does a pretty cool job of captivating some of the Isle of Cats sort of thinking and theming. It starts and the game is on a ship which you are making in the game box. Not a spoiler, it's the first thing that the game tells you to do. There are, as the back of the box alludes to, polyomino pieces that you're going to be placing. They have cats on them, and that is basically all you're doing in Isle of Cats. There's fish that you are accumulating, and while in that game you would be maybe spending them, in this you are obtaining them, and the more you have, it unlocks more puzzles. It just all sort of works in the theming, and the theming of polyominoes and the Isle of Cats, not necessarily just saving cats and getting them on a boat. So if you really like that, you definitely enjoy the theming of this. Whether it necessarily is a standalone, if you didn't know anything about Isle of Cats, I don't think it would add anything to the experience in that case, unless you really like cats, that is. So, Sidequest, the Isle of Cats. It takes the theming of the Isle of Cats and does quite nice things to turn it into a puzzle-like, escape room-ish sort of experience as you're working through these puzzles. Some of those puzzles certainly got us scratching our heads, and I do think playing it at 2 was the ideal player count. I certainly wouldn't want to go too far above that, because I think that was the right amount of people for solving the puzzles that are on offer at the same time. It looks cool on the table. I like the way that the puzzles worked, even if some of them really did sort of trip us up. I liked how they all worked, and I liked the way that they were loosely linked with some kind of storyline between them. I would definitely look to play another one of the Sidequest series, and I will be passing the box on to others, friends and family, to be able to play this, because I think it's a good one. Whether it for you would stand up against Exit, where you're cutting and ripping things up and getting a little destructive, or maybe Unlock, where there's the app, well, maybe it might not stand up against those too much, but this doesn't require anything more than what's in the box, unless you want a bit of pen and paper to help you along the way. It's got a cool theme, it's got some puzzles for you to crack, and well, we certainly enjoyed it and would play more of the series. Hopefully this has helped you determine if this Sidequest, the Isle of Cats puzzle game would be for you, whether you should add it to your collection and play it through once because you're not going to be playing it through multiple times. Hopefully this has helped. If it has, like, subscribe and all that sort of jazz. And until next time, have a wonderful Isle of Cats filled good day.